Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we have our first recap of NFL Week 13, and today we're detailing the Houston Texans' big-time win over the Denver Broncos. Now, starting this thing off, I just want to give you a couple of numbers, get a little feel for the game to understand where we are and why this game means so much for the Houston Texans in a winning fashion. Now, the Texans defeated the Broncos 22-17, ending the Broncos' 5-game win streak. I think coming into this game, what we felt about the Denver Broncos, we saw a team that was running the football. We saw a team that was really taking away the football, and that's one of the bigger marks we're going to talk about in today's game, the absence of those takeaways and how that impacted the offense and some of the things which we saw. But I think offensively, we had to take a step back. For Sean Payton, for Russell Wilson, I think they have been looking solid for the most part, the way they've been running the football. Russell Wilson not turning over the football, throwing more touchdowns, and even some of the things we saw today in a loss, I think they're headed in the right direction. They're not fully there yet, but what we saw today was when you don't get some of those turnovers, a Houston Texans team being efficient with the football, taking care of the football, and executing whenever they have the chance to go get some points on the board. CJ Stroud on the day, 16 of 27, 274 yards. Had a touchdown, was sacked 5 times. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But his big-time receiver on the day, that was Nico Collins. Nico Collins with 9 receptions, 191 yards, and a touchdown. What we've been seeing from Nico Collins thus far, I really think with his emergence on the entire season, this is not just this game. He's been playing consistently like this for the duration of the season. He's been the #1 guy alongside of Tank Dell. And also, I want to say shout out to Tank Dell, wishing for a speedy recovery. Today, he had a season-ending injury, fractured his fibula. When they were playing like they were playing with the connection, Tank Dell is a guy who went to college at the University of Houston. To have the season end in that fashion, the way they were playing right now, they're still in the thick of the playoff race. That's something you never want to see, and I know Texans fans are heartbroken from that. But I think what we saw in this game, like I said, getting back to Nico Collins, he was really a guy who stepped up. It was him and Brevin Jordan. I think those were the two guys who stepped up for a guy like CJ Stroud. Along with the run game, I mean, you had Damian Pierce, Devin Singletary. They had some solid carries, but it wasn't a huge running game. I think we've seen that really from the Texans this entire season. They've been able to run the football just a little bit, but they're not going to gas you. They're not a dominant running football team. So having a Nico Collins really causing problems against a Patrick Surtain, against those guys in the back and a Kareem Jackson, I think that was huge for CJ. And he's really going to have to continue to do this. Be that #1 guy. We're going to have to see him get over 70 yards, close to 100 yards, really, and probably the rest of the games, because now you're absent of a Tank Dell who was so good as the #2 receiver. Brevin Jordan's going to have to step up. Noah Brown's going to have to step up. Dalton Schultz, those types of guys on the football field. So now getting into this thing, I think conversely on the other side of the football, we saw a defense who suffocated the Denver Broncos. I aforementioned and talked about a little bit how the offense struggled without those takeaways. We didn't see a team who had great field positioning. That opens up the playbook a little bit. It gives you more opportunity to go get points on the board when you don't have to drive the entirety of the football field. Russell Wilson was 15 of 26 on the day, 186 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. And I think with the last interception, they really had to score. It was 22-17. But I think with those first 2 interceptions, we're going to talk about that man, Derek Stingley. I just talked about Derek Stingley, and has he lived up to the hype that we thought coming out of LSU? We go back to that freshman year, one of the best years ever by a defensive back. And I'm talking about safeties, corners. What we saw at LSU that year is bar none. But what we saw on the football field today, and that's also going to another guy who's a rookie out of Alabama, that's Will Anderson Jr. Getting that tip pass when the Denver Broncos were gaining momentum and steam. They were starting to score and creep back into this football game. Will Anderson rushing the passer, tips a pass on an out route to one of the receivers for the Denver Broncos, Derek Stingley. He throws it a little behind him, Russell Wilson, because the pass is tipped. He gets that interception. Now they go down and they score for the Houston Texans. I think that's huge to have with that young defense. Talking about D'Amico Ryans, the job he's done. And like I said, for me at least, I think that we're seeing more and more offensive minds as head coaches. But when you have that quarterback, now you got to be sure he's your guy. And I think they're pretty sure that CJ Stroud is their guy for the foreseeable future. So with that being said, you can lean on a defensive coach, have a Bobby Slowick calling those offensive plays, and you're still in a good spot talking about your front office and your coaching staff. D'Amico Ryans has these guys playing outstanding. I mean, Will Anderson Jr. leading the league in pressures for rookies. We expected that coming out of Alabama, but I think just to see it and how it's played alongside some of those guys that they have. Now, they have a mixture of some older guys and some younger guys. I'll talk about it. Jalen Petrie, he's a younger guy at the safety position. A Jimmy Ward, a veteran coming over from San Francisco. We look at Steven Nelson, even Jonathan Gennard, he had a sack on the day. So I think just to see that, even with the Broncos offense, we didn't see the team that ran the football as efficiently as they usually run it. I think what we saw from the passing game and the offensive line, even though Garrett Bowles has been having a pretty good season, they struggled. Will Anderson Jr. and Jonathan Gennard gave those guys problems all day. We saw Russell Wilson. Actually, I want to go to this and pull it up because he had to scramble a lot on the day. He had 10 carries for 44 yards, and a lot of that was scramble yards. So the question is, what does this mean for the Houston Texans? With CJ Stroud, I think that this strengthens his MVP case. Now, talking about the next couple of games that they have as we foresee this, they play the Jets, they play the Titans twice, they play the Browns and the Colts. So looking at that, even talking about CJ Stroud as an MVP, I think what I saw from him today is something we've consistently been seeing. I mean, it's nothing new, seriously. The passes that he makes. Now, it was one pass where he rolled out. It was a pass rusher in his face, and I think you guys all saw this play. Rolled out, pass rusher in his face. I don't know how you throw the football when you're coming off of a boot. You turn your shoulders and you somehow throw it across your body, and now that's a completion. That is the type of thing that has embodied the performance we've seen from CJ Stroud this season. I mean, on the day, he's one of those guys, and I think he's in a situation where he's a rookie, and you want to say, how is he playing this good for a rookie? But I think I'm past that point. I think a lot of people have been past that point, but today was really a realization for me. He's so comfortable in the pocket. Even when everything is collapsing and a lot is going on, he seems as if he's so sound. The footwork doesn't get off. The mechanics don't get off. I mean, there were a couple of throws today, even the deep pass to Nico Collins on the right side of the football field near the sideline. The pass rush was collapsing. He's standing in the pocket and he's stepping up and maneuvering through the pocket and letting the football go. He's not looking to get out and scramble unless he has to. He's one of those rare guys, and I think we see this a lot in football today, people that can't do it. He gets in the pocket and he maneuvers within the pocket, but he resets his feet without getting out of the tackle box. This is a guy who can get his feet set. If he has to scramble, doesn't get out of the tackle box, look downfield, still throw with anticipation, still throw into an open window. There was another pass where he did it on I believe it was a glance route by Nico Collins. He's going across the middle of the field. He's looking at him. Nico Collins is not open when he throws the football, but the anticipation to say, okay, I'm going to reset my feet in this pocket, let this football go. And as soon as he comes across the middle of the football field, it's right here wrapped in a gift basket for him to go get it. So I just want to shout out CJ Stroud. I think it was a big time win. Shout out to Miko Ryan. Shout out everything they've been able to do. For the Denver Broncos, not the best performance. I think that what we've seen in the last 5 games, that's the team you want to see. You want to see the defense, not as many blown coverages, not as many blown assignments where you have a Brevin Jordan running wide open, you have a Nico Collins running wide open. I think that even though you got after CJ Stroud with the 5 sacks, and also shout out Baron Browning. I like the breakout he's been having this season, but overall, just a couple of things you want to fix offensively, I think. Defensively, for the most part, even though CJ Stroud had a pretty big day, I think those are things you can clean up. But for the offense, without the turnovers, I want to see an offense that can get up to that next level. Try to be amongst the elite of the offenses. There is no reason that you're paying Russ all this money to be a game manager. Now, I understand winning football is winning football, but I think what we saw today is one of those games where you have to step it up a little bit. They failed to do so on the offensive side of the football. I mean, I really like the pass he had to Jerry Jeudy. It was one of those routes where it was a quarters look. We take away the corner. Now we come behind him with Jerry Jeudy. He's going to be wide open. Use Cortland Sutton. He's running. He's taking the guy out. So I think that was a good play design that we saw, one of the big-time plays. And even with the big-time touchdown, where you matched up Cortland Sutton on Jalen Petrie, Jimmy Ward tried to get over. So I think things like that we can see, and we want to try to replicate that and use that a little more. Looking at it on the day, Cortland Sutton had 2 catches for 77 yards. The way he's playing football at night has 7 targets, but I think we want to improve that just a little bit. Get some completions on some of those targets. You got 7 targets. Let's get at least 5 completions on that. Looking at Jerry Jeudy, had 4 targets, 3 receptions interceptions. I think just getting more efficient offensively, and they'll be looking pretty good soon. But like I said, the biggest takeaway from this thing is CJ Stroud still in the thick of that MVP race. We're going to come back and talk about it tomorrow. I think that Tyreek had a good day. Brock Purdy had a good day. Christian McCaffrey had a good day. And we still have to see what Patrick Mahomes does. So these are a lot of things, but that's going to do it for today's show. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. What was the biggest thing you saw from the Houston Texans on the football field today? Let me know. But now, we